خبرة طويلة في الإصابات وحوادث السقوط والسيارات، يتحدثون لغتكم، يحاربون من أجلكم. المحامي لورنس قاجي، الاستشارات مجانية ولا يستلمون أتعابهم إلا بعد إكمال القضية. زوروهم على 10000 West 9 Mile Road Suite 1400 Southfield. اتصلوا على المحامي لورنس قاجي 248-702-6641 248-702-6641.
أعزائي المستمعين، أهلا وسهلا بكم وبرنامج جديد للمحامي لورنس قاجي من قاجي لو فيرم، ومعنا في الاستوديو المحامي لورنس قاجي وأيضا المحامي جان شرودر. طبعا قبل كل شيء نرحب بهم. Welcome Mr. Qaji and welcome Mr. John.
Thank you again, Sir, for having us. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much.
طبعا برنامج اليوم أنا راح أحاول أنه أترجم الشغلة، لأنه اليوم الباراليغال مالنا ما موجودة، مال القاجي لو فيرم ما موجودة تمارا، فراح أكون أنا موجود. اليوم حديثنا راح يكون عن كيف الانشورنس يقيم قضايا الانجري، الإصابة. Mr. John.
Yes.
You told me that you want to talk about, you and Mr. Lawrence, about how insurance can value the injury cases, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So one of the things that we are doing on a regular basis is we are negotiating with insurance companies, right? Because the vast majority of cases that we have are injury cases where someone is injured by somebody else. And where does that money come? It comes from insurance.
طبعا يقول احنا شغلتنا هي دائما مع الانشورنس، شغلتنا هي شنو؟ الاصابات. فدائما الفلوس منين يستلم الشخص؟ يستلمها من الانشورنس. فاحنا لازم نكون flexible with them, right?
Yes.
تكون وياهم، يعني نعمل مع الانشورنس حتى نحصل اكبر عدد مبلغ ممكن للكلاينت to get whatever we can get more money to our clients.
Right. And there's to remember, I want to step back just a little bit at the beginning and remind our listeners who've been with us for a long time that there's two types of cases.
هناك نوعين من cases، يعني القضايا.
Yep. And that is the first party or HIP benefits case, which includes all your medical, lost wages, and help around the house. And then there's the bodily injury or third party case, which is for your pain and suffering. And those are often two different insurance companies.
شكلين insurance، واحد منهم هو عن الإصابة، المستشفى، شغلات الأخرى كلها، والأخرى اللي بعد أنه أنت الإصابة، العلاج، الشغلات أخرى، فهي شكلين. yes, go ahead.
Yeah. You know, so
you know what I mean?
Yeah, right. I kind of like to break it up into three categories for all cases.
Or three
categories for all cases.
Yes.
And then there's a fourth category
Yeah.
whenever we're dealing with cases against the at-fault driver. So remember, like John was saying, there's two types of cases. One
Yes.
is for your PIP benefits, for your medical bills, your PIDMA, all that stuff.
The other,
The others, the bodily injury
yes.
against the other driver.
Yes.
So there's three factors for one claim, and then
Yes.
there's four. I added one factor.
What is the other one?
So the outlier, the factor that's not in the PIP case is obviously whose fault the accident was, and how you can determine fault.
نعم. مثل ما قال الأخ جان، قال اثنين، والثالثة دا يقولها المحامي لورنس، منو هو اللي الأخطأ.
Let's just go back and just to reiterate. Yes. So there's two types of claims, generally speaking, when you're involved in a car accident.
Yes.
Right. There's a first party claim for your medical bills, your khidma. That's the first type.
الخدمة والقوائم الطبية.
The second type is against the at-fault driver. Right.
والثاني
for bodily injury.
للإصابة
اللي
تصير بالجسم.
For the first, and I'll let John go into a little bit more detail, but for the first part of the case, the first party case for your medical bills and your khidma, your wage loss, stuff like that.
Yes.
In my opinion, there's three general factors that determine.
And that one, in the first one,
first one, what your case is worth.
Yes.
Okay.
طبعا مثل ما قال، يقول مثلا الإصابة اللي مستشفى وشغلاته والخدمة شيء تتقسم أيضا إلى 3 أقسام أخرى.
So the first one, so we're just talking about right now your PIP case. This includes medical bills, your khidma, your wage loss,
الخدمة
medical mileage, all that good stuff.
نعم.
And remember, this has nothing to do with fault. Whoever fault it is, as long as you're involved in a car accident, you have insurance, you'll get these benefits.
شغلة المخطئ هو الانشورنس اللي يتحملها لأنه Michigan is no fault.
Right. Even if you hit the other guy,
حتى
right?
لو
You
أنت
rear end
ضربته.
him, you still get these benefits.
حتى لو أنت ضربته ميشيغان هي من الولايات اللي no fault يعني حتى إذا أنت ضربته أنت الانشورنس يتحمل أنه التصليح مالتك.
Okay, so the three factors for this type of claim.
Yes.
There's a lot of factors, obviously, but I'm just going to break these down into three very general categories.
Very general.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
First one is the damage to the car.
أول واحد هو أنه السيارة مثلا الإصابة مع السيارة مثلا قسم سيارات تروح total damage maybe.
The second factor is the treatment that's involved in the case.
ثاني واحد هي الخدمة اللي بالموجودة.
The medical treatment, the doctors, the physical therapies.
الأطباء الثيرابي. نعم.
The third, and we'll go into each one of these in detail. The third one is policy limits. So depending on if you have a 50,000 policy, 250, some it's unlimited in most cases.
لأنه معظم الانشورنس طبعا كل واحد عنده مسوي بالنسبة له اللي مسويها 50 100 اللي مسويها 250 500 حسب البوليسة اللي أنت مسويها. Yes.
So all of these three things apply to both the PIP case and the bodily injury case. I'm adding one more thing to the bodily injury case.
What's the fourth one?
Is whose fault the accident was.
طبعا
Because
والشغلة
obviously that has to do with bodily injury.
what that would cause.
What that does is that it indicates whether or not you have a bodily injury case available. Because while you just said we are a no fault state,
Yes.
that only means that they are eligible for the first party medical portions essentially of the claims, but not necessarily for the pain and suffering. You only get pain and suffering if you are not at fault in an accident.
طبعا yes I will explain it. طبعا احنا قلنا انه ميشيغان هي no fault يعني انه تتحمل، لكن اذا انت بالنسبة لك صارت عندك الإصابة وانت الخطأ من عندك، اكو شغلات ما تتعوض بيها انت اذا انت الخطأ.
Yes. So that's it. Those are the four main factors.
هذه الاربع اشياء. طبعا اي واحد عنده سؤال استفسار يقدر يتصل بينا على 586-825-205-586-825-2015. الحلقة منقولة ايضا لايف على صفحة إذاعة صوت الغد مستمعينا الأكارم. رقم تليفون الإذاعة هو 586-825-2015 586-825-2015. Okay, now this is what we were explaining to our listeners. What else?
Yeah, so let's go into detail about each one.
Sure. So I guess damage to the car was the first thing you mentioned.
Yeah.
Technically,
Yes.
the damage to the car has nothing to do with the injury claim, right? You can be injured with a very small amount of damage to the car,
Yes.
or you could be very severely injured with a small amount of damage, or you could be not injured at all when a car is completely crushed. It's happened in many cases. I've seen
It's
it.
happened both ways.
اوكي يقول بالنسبة دا يشرح البداية اللي احنا تكلمنا عنها المحامي جان. بالنسبة للسيارة اكو سيارات يعني اكو انسان السيارة تصير توتال دامج هو ما بيشي، او هو السيارة بيها شوية اصابة لكنه هو مصاب قوي.
But we mention it because the insurance companies, the very first thing that they're looking for is photos of the damage to the vehicle.
طبعا الانشورنس اول شيء اللي يشوفون الصور اللي للسيارة والاضرار اللي موجودة بالسيارة حول السيارة بالسيارة whatever.
And one of the things that they're always investigating is if there's a small amount of damage on the vehicle, their first question is, how is it possible this person could possibly be injured?
طبعا الانشورنس يقول لك مثلا لما يجون يكشف على السيارة يشوف انه السيارة ما بيها فشي بسيط، يقول لعد شلون هو بالنسبة له انصاب هذا الرجل.
So just to clarify,
Yes.
having damage, a lot of damage to the car helps you settle a case, but it's
if
not.
there's more damage is
There's more
better.
damage. It's better for your case, but it's not an all-inclusive thing.
Right.
I've had a lot of cases with very minimal damage, even,
Mm-hmm.
you know, sort of like scratches on the car where my clients have suffered serious injuries. And that's what I'm saying. So it does help, but it's not necessarily
نعم.
absolutely.
طبعا
Agreed.
اذا السياره مضروبه ضربه قويه مثلا هي تساعد الكيس، تساعد، لكن يقول المحامي لورنس كثير من الاحيان اكو سيارات صار بس بيها جلخات، يعني جلخه، لكن هو اعتبره كيس وصار كيس، ولانه السائق مصاب.
And I'd also like to point out that if a vehicle is taking a lot of damage, right? The vehicles are designed to take damage so that you aren't hurt. So if the vehicle's taking a lot of damage, you might not take as much. But if your vehicle is a rock solid, you know, I don't know, I'm not good with truck names, but Ford F-150 that, you know, you smack something and there's nothing on the car, that doesn't mean you weren't injured. I mean, some of these trucks are built really tough.
Injured or injured?
I'm saying even if the car or the vehicle or the truck doesn't have a lot of damage,
yes.
that doesn't mean you weren't injured.
طبعا بالنسبه للسيارات، هي السيارات مصنوعه لويش يعني يصير حادث، يصير دامج، لكن اكو سيارات مثلا مثل ما قال 150 هذه السيارات القويه، heavy, you know?
Yeah, they're heavier, it's tougher, they're made out of steel, right?
مو معناه انه السياره ما صارت دامج الشخص اللي قاعد ما صاير به شيء، لا، يعني احتمال انه السياره ما بيها شيء بسيط، لكنه الشخص the person is injured.
Yeah. So the second thing, and in my opinion, probably the most important or the most weight they put on any given factor is the treatment.
أهم شيء بالنسبة للشغلة هي العلاجات. نعم.
Yeah, and it's treatment as it relates to the injuries, right? Because if there are serious injuries, right, you're going to have significant treatment.
So when I
for a long time, maybe.
Yeah. When I say treatment, I mean injuries that happen at the onset of the accident, and also the treatment that follows after that.
Bingo.
طبعا من يقول التريتمنت يعني العلاجات مو شرط انه يعني اللي يصير اول مره بالحادث وبعدين بعد الحادث ايضا بعد ما يطلع حتى من المستشفى even if he left the hospital.
And so this is where we see a lot of our cases kind of go from what we think is a very high value case to a low value case after things play out. And I'm just going to be honest with the listeners.
How you value it, or
so when it usually is like, and I'll give you an example. We've had cases where, you know, client comes in, they've had severe damage to the vehicle. The case looks, you know, very good at onset, and then fast forward a year, you know, let's say there was no broken bones, there was maybe some disc herniation or disc bulges after an MRI was done.
يقول المحامي لورنس اكو مثلا يجينا كيس السياره متاذيه فد مره، لكن هو بالنسبه له ورا فتره ورا سنه ما عنده لا كسر عظم ولا عنده الم بالظهر.
So and you know, let's say they're treating at let's say they're doing physical therapy only for, let's say, 5 or 6 months. I'm just giving an example.
مثلا يسوي physical therapy مثلا العلاج الطبيعي 4 أشهر 5 أشهر 6 أشهر.
Yes. Without any other treatment, the insurance company is going to value that case pretty low.
Yeah.
لما يكون بهالطريقه هذه اللي مثلا 4 أشهر او 5 أشهر العلاجات مثلا مثل العلاج الطبيعي، يقول الانشورنس يعني يعتبروها فشي بسيط، يعني حتى التعويض يكون different بسيط.
So like let's say the case came in and me and John would talk about it, and we would think the case is worth maybe $200,000 to $300,000, let's say. I'm just giving an example out there. And by the time, you know, they fast forward a year and it's only been, you know, maybe some physical therapy treatments, and the client you know, he got better pretty quick. You know, that case may be worth, you know,
less.
Maybe it's worth $30,000 now.
مثلا يقول نقعد
it could.
يقول مثلا هو مو يعني مبلغ هو ثابت، لا مبلغ معين. مثلا يقول نقعد انا والمحامي جان، يقول نقول مثلا هذا الكيس احتمال التعويض يكون فد 200,000 او 300,000، لكنه بعد فتره نشوف انه ماكو فد الم عند الرجل او الشخص او الانسان المصاب ما عنده، يجوز الكيس ماله ينزل، يعني ينزل من 200,000 الى 30,000 يجوز الى 40,000.
And part of the reason for this is because
Sorry, but
go ahead.
Just a question.
Yes.
When you said we say the case is worth like 200 or 300. You tell the client that it's 200 or 300 or
We're talking about what we kind of think the case could potentially be worth in the future. In other words, this is kind of like if we are evaluating the case internally, what do we think it could get to?
Yeah, the answer is no. I'll tell you why.
Yes.
Because just like I told you that example,
Yes.
when the case came in, we thought it was worth 300 grand.
And
Now it's only worth 30 grand.
Yeah.
I would never want the client to be upset at me about, how the value changed, right? So I never give values up front.
Right.
When I do give a value is when we're in the litigation process, when we're down the road, maybe a year and a half down the road, that's when I'll tell him, okay, things have played out. Now I know what I think your case is worth. This is what your case is worth. Never at the beginning.
بالبداية طبعا لما انت تروح يم المحامي ما راح يقول لك انه انت راح تاخذ لك هلقة فلوس، تاخذ لك $10 ولا $1,000,000. لا، بعد فترة يقدر يعرف بالضبط ايش قد انت بالنسبة لك راح الكيس مالك بفائدة، او ايش قد المبلغ اللي انت بالنسبه لك راح تاخذه. راح يقول لك ذاك الوقت بعد مرور 6 اشهر او سنه، حسب الكيس مالك، حسب انت الاصابه مالتك، حسب عدد السياره.
Once the case plays out, I've handled over 1,000 cases, so
Right.
I know, I've seen every single type of case. I know what a case is worth, and I'll let you know that. But not right away. You can't tell right away. You don't know how the case is going to play out. You have no idea. Is the client going to require a surgery from the injuries from the accident? You have no idea what's going to happen.
طبعا اعتيادي يقول لك بالنسبه لي انا اكثر من 2000 يعني كيس عندي، كل هاي القضايا مر عليها، يعني كلها مر عليه، كلها شايفها، كلها يعرفها، ويعرف انه المبلغ ايش قد راح ياخذ، لكنه ما يقول اخاف مثلا انه هذا الرجل يحتاج عمليه، يحتاج له شغله، يحتاج فالكيس ماله لا يزيد، الكيس ماله ما راح يبقى the same one, right?
Yes.
So what you might ask,
I'm not translating to you, only for the listener.
I know that's okay. I'm trying to pick it up. I'm doing my best. So the follow-up question from this is, well, why, right? Why does the value change based on their treatment? And the answer is actually, there's two parts to it, right? So there's that first party case with the medical, right? The wage loss, the household services.
That's okay.
No, that changes too. That changes too. I'm going to explain why. Okay.
Right.
Because if you are off work, okay, an insurance company will only provide you your lost wages if you can provide proof. Okay. And you get that proof in the form of essentially a disability certificate or medical treatment notes that indicate you need to be off work. So if you're going for lost wages, if you're going for help around the house and you're not treating, so a doctor's not telling you you need to be off work and a doctor's not telling you that you need help around the house, the insurance company is going to say, prove it.
طبعا بالنسبة لكل شيء يتغير حسب الحالة، حسب حالتك. في بعض الأحيان أنت بالنسبة لك تشتغل في عمل، أنت تركت العمل مالتك، لكنه الطبيب هو اللي يقرر أنه أنت بالنسبة لك تقدر تشتغل أو ما تقدر تشتغل، تقدر تبقى هلقة فترة أو ما تبقى. وأكو شغلة ثانية أيضا، الانشورنس دائما يراقب.
Yeah, and it's important to note that if we have to file a lawsuit, we as plaintiffs have the burden of proof. Okay, that means our clients and us together as a unit have to prove that they require these benefits. It's not on the insurance company to say we have to prove. They don't have to prove why we don't need it. We have to prove why they do.
طبعا الانشورنس دائما يريد برهان، يريد بروف، يريد برهان فأنت بالنسبة لك دائما بالنسبة للمحامين هم يقول احنا ندافع، طبعا ندافع يعني مدافعين عن الكلاينت مالتنا، فأي شيء اللي احنا نريد نحصل للمبلغ الأكبر للكلاينت، لكنه everything need proof.
Yeah,
that's right.
And, I have a similar opinion that John has on why treatment's important. So I'll be in my opinion, The
Yes.
reason why treatment's important is because, everybody has their own opinion. This is just mine.
Yes.
I think that the adjusters in Michigan get a lot of car accident claims and they don't know which cases are worth value and which ones aren't. So they go
True.
off of medical records.
The
they
adjuster from insurance.
The insurance.
Yeah.
So let's say they get 1,000 car accident claims.
Yes. Yes.
How do they know which ones are worth money and which ones are not?
طبعا بالنسبه للاجستر اللي الانشورنس يدزه مثلا حتى يشوف مثلا مئات السيارات اللي مسوي حادث، شلون راح يعرف انه هذه هالقد مبلغها، هاي هالقد مبلغها، هذه هالقد worth.
And I agree with that 100%. Absolutely. So, but yeah, so, and then with respect, so we talked about the PIP case, right? And why getting the disability certificates, getting the medical records help that case, but that's also true for the bodily injury case. If you're going to claim that you are in pain and you are suffering, right? You're asking for pain and suffering.
Yes.
Well, your records have to reflect that you're in pain and suffering.
طبعا عندك كل واحد عنده من يصير عنده حادث راح يصير عنده ركض بالمستشفى راح يصير عنده فايل. فانت بالنسبه لك شلون انت بالنسبه لك راح تبرهن من الالم اللي عندك، من الاصابه اللي عندك، انه انت دائما عندك الام، احتمال صارت الالام بعد الضربه، صار عندك البين ظهر بين باك بين or
and that's one of the issues that we see and how treatment can affect your case. Sometimes we get a case in that accident happened 2 months ago. They've never seen a doctor for that accident.
Right.
يقول مثلا the case is now with you, right?
The case, yeah. So let's say
عندك كيس هسه بالنسبه الى المحامي لورنس، يقول الكلاينت ماله شهرين صار الحادث ما شايف دكتور.
If they've never gone to the urgent care, if they've never gone to the hospital,
ولا مستشفى.
If they've never done any treatment and for the first 2 months of the accident, I'm not saying that they weren't injured, but the insurance company is going to question it.
Question and the case will not work that much.
They might have a very valid reason.
They may have a valid reason. That's what I was going to say. It depends. I don't want to say that that's not a valuable case because it could be.
Yes.
So I had a case that I recently signed up where the client didn't have any treatment for a month and a half. The reason was he was in pain, he was injured. The reason was he had no health insurance. He had no car insurance. So he didn't know he could apply for benefits to the state of Michigan. He had no idea.
No. Oh, he don't know.
He didn't know.
And he was afraid that he would end up in debt, right?
So he was afraid that he would go to the doctor's office. He has no health insurance, no auto insurance.
مثلا
He'd
واحد
have to pay for it himself. He didn't know that the state of Michigan provided coverage in that situation.
عنده حادث صار وما عنده لا انشورنس ولا عنده انشورنس مع السياره ولا عنده هيلث انشورنس، ما يعرف انه الستيت اوف ميشيغان هي تقدر انه ايضا تعوضه عن شغلات اخرى لما ما عنده كل شيء.
Yeah, and what's a shame about that too is there's a lot of people who just try and tough it out, and what's happening is they're actually getting worse instead of better because they're trying to essentially cope with the pain on their own. They're not getting any treatment, which means they're not getting the treatment to make them get better. Right, so they're getting worse sometimes.
It gets worse,
right?
If you don't treat it.
اذا ما راح علاجات طبعا راح في بعض الاحيان لما ما عنده انشورنس وكل شيء ما راح يعالج المعالجه الحقيقيه.
I mean, you can imagine if you're lifting weights, right, and you hurt your back, so then you go back and you lift more weights, and then you go back and lift more weights. You're not going to get better.
Yeah. طبعا ما تكون زين انت لما مثل ما هسه فد مثل يقول انت ترفع اثقال مثلا 50 باوند وجعت، تجي ثاني يوم تجي تشيل 70 باوند. No, that's
yeah. So should we move on to number 3?
Well, I was going to ask you, do you want to talk about the specific types of treatment that are more valuable first, or do you want us to move on?
Yeah, that's a good idea. So this is one part that I don't love doing, but I do think it's a valuable.
Which one?
What we're going to be talking about right now.
Okay.
But I do think it's valuable for the listeners to know how the insurance companies value cases. And okay, so yes, now
So
you have
I'll posit
you
the
have a
first.
strong case.
Let me posit the first question to you. What if all they ever do is physical therapy? What do you think of that, Lawrence?
So
طبعا
I've kind of been in my mind kind of broken up cases, and obviously every case is different. There's no doubt about
yes,
it.
that's what you
But
said.
I have broken up cases into kind of categories, and I think where the cases should be around. The lowest category that I believe is client that has done physical therapy treatments only.
طبعا فعلا لما واحد صار عنده حادث وصار عنده اصابه يعني ما عنده لا عمليه no surgery
So
nothing.
physical therapy only, the insurance
بس
companies value the case. That's the lowest value case that in my opinion, the insurance companies value.
احنا مثل ما قلنا راح نحكي على الانشورنس شلون يسوي الفاليو، شلون يسوي ايش قد انت تحصل لما انت بس عندك الثيرابي، بس عندك العلاج الطبيعي. الانشورنس ما راح يعطيك ذاك المبلغ، يعني راح يكون اقل شيء راح يعطيك اياه. يس.
The second category I would put in is when a client gets more of an invasive treatment. So for example, a pain injection. That's another form of a minimally invasive.
This
sort of treatment.
if you have
This is
pain
another-
injection, that means
This is another
the
category.
case will worth more, right?
In my opinion, the overall the case will be worth more than a case that just have done physical therapy treatment only.
طبعا الكيس تعرفون شنو الشغله، اذا عنده عمليات واذا عنده آلام واذا عنده قضايا تفرق. اما انه بس الكيس مالته اللي هو بس الثيرابي تفرق الشغله. الثيرابي ما راح يحصل المبلغ اللي اذا هو عنده عمليات وعنده آلام.
And obviously it's not that simple. Every case is different. This is just a very general talk.
كل طبعا شيء ده يحكي شيء عام، لكنه ما ده يحكي شيء مفصل، لانه كل كيس شكل.
And I was just going to say MRIs, and other diagnostic testing. I mean, it's super important that when you're getting the treatment, that, you let us, usually a doctor is going to want to diagnose what it is they think is wrong with you, right? Do you have radiculopathy? Do you have, well, I'm not going to go into medical terms, but the bottom line is they want to diagnose you, right?
They will.
Right. Well, they will most of the time,
If you
but
ask them or
but
what?
well, you have to tell them what your
You
issues
have to tell
are.
them,
Right? The doctors don't know. They're not psychic.
Even MRI, most of the times when you go to any hospital, first thing they ask, you have MRI or CAT scan.
Well,
or something like that.
they might do a CT scan, but
Yeah,
hospitals will rarely do MRIs. Sometimes they'll do X-rays, but depending upon what your specific injury is, there are different diagnostic tests. And so just because one comes back negative, like an X-ray,
yes,
that doesn't mean there isn't another diagnostic test that could be run.
احنا يعني لما واحد يصير عنده يروح المستشفى، لازم المستشفى في بعض الاحيان هم يسوي لك الامراي والتيسكان، لكنه انت لازم شنو تقول لهم انه عندي الم مثلا في فلان مكان، فاحتاج كات سكان، احتاج الامراي حتى بالنسبه للتريتمنت مالك للعلاج.
I've had a lot of clients that have been to the hospital after an accident, and the hospital pretty much what they do is they just make sure that nothing's broken, make sure there's nothing too serious, and they just kind of ask you to follow up with your primary care doctor.
اول شيء يعني هم بالنسبه لهم يهتمون انه اذا عندك كسر، اذا عندك عظم مكسور، اذا عندك هالشغلات هذه يسووا لها راسا العلاج، او يقول لك مثلا اذا ماكو شيء يقول لك شوف الطبيب العائله مالك.
What I'm saying is sometimes my clients go to the hospital, they get x-rays done, there's nothing broken, but they have back pain. So now they get an MRI done that shows what the back pain, why they're having back pain.
يعني اكو ناس يروح يسوي اشعه ما يطلع عنده شيء، لكنه عنده الم بالظهر، فايش راح يسوي؟ راح يطلب يسوي MRI للظهر، احتمال يبين انه ليش الالم موجود.
Yep. All right, good. So the third thing we spoke about.
586-825-2015 586-825-2015. اي واحد عنده سؤال، عنده استفسار، معنا المحامي لورنس قاجي والمحامي جان شرودر يتحدثون عن يعني انتم المواضيع اللي يحجون بها بصراحه كلش مهمه. It's very important to listen and to know what they are talking about.
Thank you. Number 3 is policy limits.
Yes.
So that is definitely going to have an impact on how much you get into a settlement, the policy. And I'll tell you why.
For both cases.
Yeah, for both cases. So I personally don't like to go after anybody personally. I'll do it if my clients want me to. But I generally would like to work with the insurance companies to try to get the cases resolved.
طبعا بالنسبه للبوليسي البوليسي you mean the policy with the insurance. It's,
There's
two different
So I'll give
policies.
you an example.
You said
yeah.
When you file suits against somebody for bodily injury, they're
لما
at fault
سوي
for
انت
the
سوء
accident,
على واحد
they will generally have insurance, right? And their insurance will have a limit.
عنده انشورنس واكو ليميت يعني المبلغ ليميتس.
Right. Anything above that limit that's recovered is going to be the client's personal, I mean, the other driver's personal responsibility. So let's say you have $100,000 limit.
Yes.
And my case is, our case is worth 150,000.
The
So it could-
50,000 they will
is-
go
Exactly.
against you.
Exactly.
طبعا البوليسي مال الشخص المقابل اللي ضربك مثلا هي تطلع مثلا نقول 100,000 ما عنده اكثر من 100,000 والاصابات والكيس 150,000 فال 50,000 راح تروح من الانشورنس مالتك.
Yeah. So why is that important? Let's say you have a case that's worth 250,000.
Yes.
And they only have $100,000 in coverage.
The
Now you
150 others.
Now you can say, okay, I have an excess of 150,000, right? But there's not a lot of people that have $150,000 in their account, or they have
Okay,
assets.
then what will happen?
And then, you
Well-
either have the choice to,
So you can go after the individual, right? But the problem is, in most cases, you're going to be collecting. You're going to have to hire a collections firm or a
Okay,
collections
let me
company,
explain it.
and it's going to take a million years to collect anything.
No.
and it's not something that I handle in my office. I don't like doing collections.
Yeah,
in-
it's
in
not.
general.
Yeah.
طبعا بالنسبه له مثلا صار حادث انت انصابت المقابل عنده انشورنس 100,000 بس الاصابه هي الورث 250,000 الانشورنس مالتك انت ايضا 100,000 صارت جدت 200,000 بقى 50,000 يقول احنا ما نروح وراء القضايا كولكشن وشيء راح تصير انت ويا الشخص اللي انت صار الحادث وياه.
Yeah.
انت تشتكي على ذاك الشخص المقابل.
And without getting too complicated, it's also very hard to collect on individuals, because if they don't have that money, they're going to declare bankruptcy and you're not going to get any of it.
And maybe they will make $10 a month.
Yeah.
You may not even get that.
Yeah.
So why am I saying the policy limits are important? Because
Right.
insurance companies generally, when you settle a case or you get a verdict or anything like that,
Mhm.
they'll pay you pretty much right away, because it's insurance. That's what they're supposed to do,
Right.
right? Collecting against an individual is a lot harder to do,
It's hard to
obviously.
do. Yes, I know.
Yeah, that's why the insurance
فلهذا-
companies are.
فلهذا بصراحة دائما ينصح انه الانشورنس مالتك البوليسي مالتك تكون مثلا 250 500 افضل ايش قد ما تكون او انليميت يعني اكو شغلات انت المفروض حتى شنو لا انت بالنسبه لك راح تتاذى وما راح تقدر تحصل الشيء اللي انت تحصله. دائما احنا نقول لكم التليفون مال المحامي لورنس هو 248 702 6641 248 702 6641. الحلقه منقولة لايف على صفحه اذاعه صوت الغد. دائما نحب انه نقول لكم سووا شير للبرنامج حتى ترجع على الحلقات السابقه تشوف انه شنو اللي تحدثوا به لورنس او جان، يعني حتى تعرف الاجوبه لاسئلتك. I'm telling them go make sure to the program, and you have a lot of programs. They talk about most of the things.
Yeah.
I mean, you will learn from them.
Absolutely. And I think it's worth reiterating one of the things we talked about in a prior program, which is that, you can't affect what somebody else buys, right? But you can alter what you purchase as far as your insurance coverages. Okay.
طبعا الشيء اللي انت تشتري، الشيء اللي انت البوليسي مالتك اللي تشتريها من الانشورنس هي قد ما تكون جيده انت تكون بالسيف سايد.
And you can't force someone else to purchase an insurance
ما تقدر
policy,
تجبر واحد انه
but you can, and you can protect yourself with what we've talked about before called uninsured motorist benefits as part of your policy, so that if they don't have insurance, you can still get the bodily injury money from your own policy.
يعني اذا ما حصلت من الشخص المقابل من الانشورنس مال المقابل اللي ما عنده انشورنس مثلا، لا راح تحصل من الانشورنس مالتك اللي انت خاص بيك.
So number 4, and remember this only applies to bodily injury
Yes.
against the other driver.
Right.
is The other driver has to be more than 50, is it 50, 50, 50?
It has to be above 50%
50%.
at fault. Yeah.
So he has to be more than 50% at fault for you to.
يعني يكون المقابل يكون انه الخطأ مالته اكثر من 50%.
And again, this is not for your medical claims. This is not for wages. This is not
مو
for household
للرواتب ولا
services.
للمستشفيات.
That it doesn't matter who's at fault.
It's only for the damage of the car.
No.
What-
That's
what?
for the bodily injury claim
The
for the
pain
pain and
suffering.
suffering.
بس للآلام اللي تصير عندك maybe surgery or something like that.
So again, it doesn't matter, just to be clear, it doesn't matter if you had surgeries, injections, physical therapy, you had MRIs, and you had all the treatment in the world.
Whatever treatment.
It does not matter if you were horribly injured, if it is more than half your fault. It has to be the other person's
More
fault
than 50.
if in order to get a pain and suffering settlement
The
claim.
pain and suffering only.
so-
Remember, everyone gets the PIP that's
No.
injured.
Yes.
That's
كل واحد راح مال العلاج بالمستشفى موجود الكل ياخذه بس التريتمنت اللي بعد yes.
So one of the other things I think we were going to talk about was just a couple examples of cases like stories about like things that we had
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
One of the stories,
Yeah, let's do
if
it.
you have any
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
So, you know,
We said we have to prepare stories every time.
yeah, you know, well, you know what, I have a good story. There's
You
a,
have a lot of stories.
well, you know, when you've been doing this over a decade, you know,
I'm
you
sorry to cut you off, John.
No,
I just wanted
please.
to add one thing. So
please.
why it's important to contact us after an accident. A lot of clients that we have come to us months after the accident when they've already spoken to the adjuster, and the adjuster kind of asked them some certain questions to make it seem like that they were at fault, and now they can't go back and say that, you know, anything that was false that they said or anything like that. It's very tricky.
نعم دائما ليش يقول لك المحامي لورنس روحوا على محامي حتى لانه من يجي الاجستر يسوي مثلا تقديرات مش مثلا الانشورنس يقول لك هاي $10,000 this $10,000 يقول لك هذا وروح لكنه انت بعدين القضيه مالتك تصير غير شكل لا تصير المبالغ اكثر تصير مبالغ الصرفيات لانه الكيس مالك اللي هو يقول لك 10 من يعني هو يسوى اكثر. It's worth more.
Yeah. So, you know, one example is, so I got a client, right? And he's just driving, we're doing his regular business on a regular day.
Yes.
He goes through a green light. Okay. The other driver goes through a red light, T-bones him, absolutely just destroys
Damaged.
the whole side of the car. You know, the wheel was damaged, the frame was bent, the whole thing just destroyed.
عنده كيس ده يحكي قصة مالته شخص يروح الشغله يروح ويجي اعتيادي كان على الخط الأخضر على الأخضر اجى واحد ضرب الأحمر وضرب السيارة ضربة قوية كلش all side and everything right.
Yeah, the whole side of the vehicle completely destroyed. He was very injured.
كان كلش مصاب إصابته الدرايفر the good driver.
Well, yeah. So we represent in this
client.
case, we're representing the person who was going through the green light. Yes.
الشخص اللي كان واقف على الأخضر. Yes.
So what happens there? Well, is our client at fault? No, it's the other person who's at fault. So immediately we're looking at there's probably both a personal injury claim and a bodily injury.
يعني هذا راح العلاج مالته العلاج وأيضا التريتمنت.
Right. So what are we talking about? We're talking about treatment and injuries as one of the important factors here, right? So what injuries does this guy have? He's got a splenic laceration. That means an actual cut essentially on his spleen. He has a fracture in his back. Okay, a fracture of his actual like spine in his back.
Yes.
And others.
طبعا الألم الكسر بالظهر كسر بالشغلات بالعظام.
He has he's got bruises and cuts.
جروح ضربات
He's got broken ribs.
العضلات مالت شو اسمه العظام كلها تكسرت.
He's got a whole bunch of other issues. He's got pain in his foot and his shoulders. Bottom line, he's got a lot of injuries here.
عنده إصابات كلش قوية وكلش هواية.
Okay, so now What did we just talk about though? What was the treatment as a result of it?
راح يسوون شنو النتيجة؟
So he went to the hospital and he stayed in the hospital, not just 1, but 6 days.
بقى 6 أيام بالمستشفى.
Okay. He went to physical therapy.
راح الفيزيكال ثيرابي.
He had injections.
وصار عنده جروح وصار عنده التهابات.
He had numerous medications for both pain and muscle spasms and various other medications relating to his accident.
طوله أدوية وعلاجات بالنسبة للعظام بالنسبة لل.
So, and I know you're thinking there's a but coming here, but there isn't. This is actually a good case.
هذا كيس جيد.
Right? This is one of the ones he sent to us photos of his car.
جاب الصور مال سيارته.
And guess what? Exactly what he said was true.
الفايل ماله مال المستشفى.
So we looked at the
hospital records, you said.
yeah. Well, I pictures of the car and the hospital records. We also got
Yes,
those.
that's what I said.
Yes. So we got hospital records. We got the physical therapy records. We got his doctor's records.
التقارير مال الدكتور تقارير مال physical therapy.
Yep. Now, one of the other things that's actually a factor that we haven't really talked about yet today was the one of the factors of bodily injury is how it affects your ability to lead a normal life. And in this case, his life was affected. I'll
هذا
tell you.
أهم شيء. This is the most important thing.
Right. From the client's perspective, it is. And it's one of the elements
شلون
that is
ترجع أنت
part of the claim.
مثل ما كنت.
Right. And so, so he needed help around the house. He wasn't able to do his own chores.
يحتاج شخص أنه بالبيت أنه يداري.
He needed what we call attendant care, right? Which is where he literally needed help doing his own personal needs, at least in the beginning, right?
بالبداية ما يقدر كل شيء يسويه راد له مساعد أنه يساعده.
He needed help with his children.
أيضا يحتاج مساعدة لأطفاله.
Because
he was taking care of his.
Right. He was, but obviously it was him and his wife, but they're both, they're partners and they both take care of their kids.
Now his wages.
Well, right. And then there's the work, right? And so
مالته والرواتب.
Exactly. So, before the accident, he would go to the park, he'd play with his kids, right?
قبل الحادثة يطلع ويا أطفاله يروح البارك يروح مكانات أخرى. نعم.
He went to family gatherings.
يروح لتجمعات عائلية.
And all of the stuff that we're talking about, he wasn't able to do as a result of his accident.
بعدين من صارت هاي الحادثة كل هالقضايا بعد ما يقدر يسويها.
So I can tell you right now, I'm not going to give a specific number, but these cases like this, where we have where they get the treatment,
what do you think
they're at fault.
What this case will worth?
These cases are worth more than $100,000. Okay.
أكثر من 100,000.
Now I'm not. Each case is different, right? And we've settled cases for 400.
As example.
Yeah, and you can settle cases can sometimes and they change the disposition, as Lawrence indicated, as the cases go on. But these cases can be worth 100,000, 200,000, 300,000, 400,000. You don't know. We don't know until it's settled.
And until the end.
Right, but or even more
towards the end.
Right,
towards the end. Yeah.
يعني الكيس اللي ده يقول عليه يقول ما يعني يجوز 100,000 يجوز 200 يجوز 300 يجوز 400 إلى أن يتعالج هو.
But I can tell you this was this was over a 6-figure settlement. So this was a good case.
يعني 6 أرقام يعني 100,000 وفوق.
So we have handled cases where there wasn't broken bones. Nothing.
You handle every case.
Right.
طبعا all injured.
I handle small, medium, large cases.
يعني الأستاذ لورنس يقول احنا بالنسبة لنا ناخذ الكيس العادي الوسط العالي مهما كان.
Why that's different. A lot of law firms just want to focus on their big cases.
Why?
And I don't feel like that's right. I feel like everybody should get a special treatment on their cases.
That's true.
يقول احنا بالنسبة لنا اكو بعض المحامين ما ياخذ يجي كيسات لكن احنا بالنسبة لنا كل الكيسات نحب نخدم.
And you know what? I love that because I got another story. The
Yes.
person went for treatment. She went for about 6 weeks total. She went to her doctor twice and did physical therapy. And I think the total bill, actually, it wasn't even 6 weeks. It wasn't even 6 weeks. It was less than a month of treatment. No, there was no hospital. In a different case, in a different case, she never went to the hospital. All she did was she went to her doctor one time and she went to physical therapy for a handful of visits. I don't remember the number, but it wasn't very many.
Only one time she went to the doctor.
Yep. And you know what? The total, when we added up all the medical bills and everything that was owed, it was $6,605.
The invoice from them.
The invoice from her doctor in physical therapy.
Yes.
Yeah. And I got her $6,605.
Well,
Got her 100%. But I'm saying, so there are small cases, right?
يعني اكو كيس مثلا ياخذون كل كيس، مو شرط انه الا يكون مئات الالوف، لا حتى لو كيس مثل ما هسه ذكره انه $6,000 مثلا.
But the point I'm making is she didn't want to have to pay out of her pocket $6,605.
حتى 6,000 حتى لا تدفع هي من جيبها.
And she was going to have to pay out of her pocket if we didn't resolve it.
لو هو ما مسوين الشغله هذه كان دفعت المبالغ هي من جيبها.
And you know, I don't know about you, but if I have to pay $6,000 out of my pocket, I'm going to notice. So, I mean, you know, even the small cases matter is all I'm trying to say.
طبعا you know.
Yeah, it looks like it.
I talk a lot today.
You'll need a break today. Everything.
Yes, we can stay 2-3 minutes, 4 minutes. Don't get. Okay, what do you have? What else?
Well, do you want to?
What do you want to add?
Do you want to do? I mean, I've got other examples.
No, I mean, like, look,
You know, your jacket is nice.
Thank you.
I swear.
This is actually one of my favorite jackets.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
I like your jacket as well. I have to point that out.
You know, I'm old man.
Your jacket's still wonderful. I don't see how that has anything to do with it. That is irrelevant, and I'm going to place an objection on the record as to relevance.
That's it. I'll pay you still. طبعا الحديث ويا المحامي لورنس والمحامي جان لذيذ بصراحة، وش قد ما نبقى لو نبقى ساعات نظل نحكي، لكنه برامج المحامي لورنس عندنا احنا يوم الخميس ساعة واحدة من 1 ل2 تقريبا، ويعاد البرنامج يوم الثلاثاء دائما في المساء. هو ارتأى هالشيء هذا، وإن شاء الله دائما مرات راح نكون وياكم الظهر، مرات راح نكون وياكم مساء، وأيضا راح يستضيف محامين لأنواع المحاماة مثل ما يقول لك. thank you Mr. Lawrence.
Thank you again.
Thank you Mr. John.
Thank you as always.
And always you are wonderful.
Always a pleasure.
مستمعينا مشاهدينا الأعزاء، برنامج المحامي لورنس قاجي، ونشكره ونشكر استماعكم، نشكر مشاهداتكم، ونلتقي بكم إن شاء الله في الأسبوع القادم. إلى اللقاء.